Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump, from the deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
What was it that was telling me? Don't ever show your neck when you walk. Walk with your chest out and your chin always down. Minimum exposure on your neck. Your neck is only for women and for I don't know what the fuck. I forgot what it said. The point is, he's Arab. He's crazy.
Don't show your neck. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Don't show your neck. I guess it's a sign of weakness. Men have to walk like this. Fucking
I
chin
would
down.
I would think something was wrong with you if I saw you on the street and you were walking like that. You look like that
How would I drink water?
you look like that super villain from Despicable Me. You know, the guy with no neck where his head is like literally in a suit. Yeah.
Turtle. Talking about no neck. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I'm excited to actually converse with you again. Yeah.
I know. It's been a while. The last time we dropped an episode was January. I think it's I could hear everything. A lot of things have happened. I can't wait to get to the last chapter of your life. This is gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
Well, hopefully I can like cram all of it in this one because it's quite the story. So yeah.
What I did, I'm gonna ask you something off air once we get off,
Mhm.
but because I'm gonna let it play out. But missed you. I hope
missed you too.
how's Al doing?
She is good, although she told me today she has to have another surgery.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yep, she goes next week to see a cardiothoracic specialist. Because
Sounds
I
like a
guess
fucking dinosaur.
her chest cavity is full of stuff that the previous surgeons could not get to because the holes were in the abdomen and it's up by her heart and stuff. So,
Oh, she's gotta get open chest.
they're gonna make an incision, I guess, in between her ribs, but like her rib cage, her heart, everything up here in the upper chest is like full of junk, and her shoulder blades and the whole 9 yards. So she has to go next week for a consultation, and then they'll schedule a second surgery from there. But they're running out of paid time off, the both of them. So, because you only get so many weeks of leave per, law where they live. So, yipes. Don't know.
That's fucked up.
Yep. So all we can do is pray, but it's another one of those instances where every time she went to the doctor to tell him, I'm having all this pain or whatever, they're like, oh, it's all in your head. You're crazy. There's whatever. And then she literally had surgery on pretty much every organ in the body so far outside the brain. So, yeah. Not crazy.
But I
Went in her
pray
head.
we gotta pray hard. Dude, man. This is a whole unit suffering type of situation. It's not just her. It's not just her.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
pretty
sucks.
widespread these days. There's a lot of
her
spiritual
husband,
warfare
too.
going on. Yeah. He's coping, trying to cope, I should say. So he could use prayers as well. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
mhm.
I do pray. It's funny because it's sad, but when I don't want to be funny. I swear I don't want to be funny, but when I pray, when I say like shake, I always tell God, shake all illness away from that little body, shake her into health, man, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure and put some peace in mind in that little demon child of hers. I shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
calling her that, but that's what I call her because that's the only thing I know her as. Because that's what you call
Well,
her.
and it's not far from the truth because I literally think there's some um demonic
Oh,
influence going on there for sure.
really?
Yeah. So
How's she doing? Behaving worse?
it's been very difficult since they've come home from the hospital. They've had a couple world wars going on inside their
Holy crap!
home.
You put them in
Yeah,
those?
yeah. So
That's crazy.
God's got a plan. Sometimes it's really hard to see what that is, or to sit and cope and wait while it plays out. But there is definitely one in place. So
It gets harder. It gets hard because even like even what's the name? Leia says it in Star Wars. She goes, "Hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when it's day, you'll never make it through the night."
correct. Yep.
You want to start?
Certainly.
This is gonna be huge. Testicles, 1, 2. Testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? First, I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and then I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space, guys. I'm in my new pad, so if you hear an echo, it's because I haven't really like thought about what corner I'm gonna put all the stuff. I just had to connect it and then get back to work because the show don't stop until I drop. Guys, this is a big episode for me. It's a big episode for all of us, for all the people that were finally trying to get to this point. I had some people hitting me up, coworkers hitting me up, some of my other podcaster buddies hitting me up, like, dude, why are you lagging it, bro? Like, you're freaking pro lagging it. Shout outs JB. I know he was waiting for this episode too. So I also want to remind you guys that the most important thing that you can do for the show today is word of mouth. Check us out at paranoidradio.com. Do not forget to check us out and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because that allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. And also check out the affiliations. If you guys need any video editing and drop some badass content with like captions and AI B-rolls and stuff and all that juicy stuff, if you want to make it cool and go viral on TikTok and on Instagram, make sure you check out paranoidradio.com. Scroll a little bit down and you'll see Opus Clips. Make sure you use my freaking link so I can get paid and you could get a discount on your next purchase on editing software for your videos if you guys are podcasting or YouTubing out there. And you don't even need to be a creator. You could just open, like, you know what's funny? You could open a faceless YouTube account and then grab any YouTube channel that has viral videos that you like, their link, and put it on Opus Clips, and then make clips yourself of content that you like, and then just do a collage. You could be an art connoisseur or a curator. Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's go and jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the fucking mood. Give an amazing, warm welcome to the hostess of the Deplorable Nation podcast, Janet. Welcome back.
I just want to say I love you to pieces. I'm so happy that we get to have another conversation. And I want people to know basically how wonderful you are off air as well, because you are one of the most real, genuine, and good friends that somebody could possibly have. You're always checking in on me. We're always conversating, even when we're not like doing a show together. So, mad love and props to you because you are an amazing human being. So, thank
Thank
you
you.
for having me back and thank you for being my friend.
Thank you. And thank Heidi, that Mormon chick, for hooking us up because we met each other through her. Mad love to you too. And you've brought a lot of growth, not only within me, but you know what, Janet, this is going to resonate. And I know this episode's about you, but fuck it. I have 4 friends that I text every day. And I can tell you right now that these are the only people that would probably go to my funeral out of my
Hmm.
friends list. When I was younger, you go back to my Instagram, not my Instagram, my Facebook account, because I don't use Facebook. I think it's for old people. Anyway, the point is, You go back and you'll see, like, dude, he was popular. 300 happy birthday posts on Facebook of personal friends that I partied with.
Hmm.
Now, two, three
Yeah,
people.
I get that. And it's one of those things that they, you know, you have this like fairy tale world, right? Where all these people are your friends and stuff. But if it came down to the nitty-gritty,
Hmm.
can you rely and depend on any of those people on your friends list? That's why in my personal life, my circle is so small,
Hmm.
and I love it that way because those are the people I know. If I'm struggling or I need something, if I even need to talk, I can get a hold of this small group of people and I know that they'll be there.
Word.
Yeah.
Now, talking about a small group of people and a tight, very knit life that you've lived after all your mess. Talk to me. We are in the final chapter of your documentary. We are here to talk about the
Mhm.
last piece of the puzzle, and hopefully we can fit it all in the next 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah,
Where can
I'm
people
gonna
find you
try.
before anything, Janet?
They can find Deplorable Nation podcast, any podcast platform, a Rumble channel. You can hit me up on Instagram at Deplorable Janet or on Twitter at No Janet, KNOW.
Oh, yeah.
That is it. And I'm glad you have software to do the tech stuff. Don't call me for that because that's not my thing.
You know what people can do? People can go up to your channel and grab those links off anywhere where they're watching or listening to you and
Hmm.
do snippets of your favorite
Hmm.
portions of the channel and add B-roll, which is AI generated images, and add cool music on TikTok. And you could be viral yourself. Guys, check out ParanoRadio.com. Don't forget. Anyway,
Hit the
Janet,
link.
talk to me. Talk to me about your
Okay,
life, dude.
so this episode is basically focused on the relationship that between my dad and I, and how it has been a constant struggle, like from the get-go. But this last chapter, because I've had a lot of people go, you know what, you should never cut off family. You should always apologize to them. You should always, keep them in your life, even if they're toxic. Well, this hopefully will tell people why, after almost 55 years on this planet, why that is damn near impossible for me anymore. And so all growing up, my dad is the one that was really focused in on the why can't you be like your sister? Your sister is so good and you're not, and blah, blah, blah. So, to understand the present, we have to go back to my early childhood for a base story here.
Mhm.
Growing up, my parents had a set of friends that used to come over and they would like sit out in the driveway on lawn chairs and drink wine or whatever. Anyway, this couple had a child. Never saw the child, had no idea this child existed, only via word of mouth, because this girl never came over. So fast forward several years, the mom dies. Um, and before she died, she was dying of cancer. She made my parents promise that they would help take care of her, basically, not like take her in or anything, but like check in on her and all of these things.
Mhm.
So they made that promise. And so then her dad died, and we heard nothing else about this girl, like at all. My whole entire young adult life or anything. It wasn't until I was much older adult that this girl pops into the picture again. And she starts hanging out at family functions and whatever. Mind you, I don't know her from Adam. But she seemed like a little mentally slow. And so we're hearing all these stories about this girl and how she got that way, and her dad tried to drown her in the bathtub or something. And anyway, that's the story, right? And
Damn.
so she starts hanging around more and more and coming to like Thanksgiving and all of these things. Well, she started like trying to edge out my brother and I from the picture and like put the sole focus on her. And I'm like very uncomfortable with the thing. So we had a birthday party for my mom. This girl shows up. She buys a quilt that was specially made for my mom with the kids' names on it, including my sister who had passed away.
Mm,
So my mom opens this quilt, and this girl's name is included as one of their children. Okay, her
mm,
name's Lori. She's not one of the children. She's not, doesn't belong to the family, but she included herself like she was.
mhm,
So after that, we had this big family thing, and my brother and I are like, screw this. This is not okay, whatever. And my dad's like, oh, she's so sweet and innocent. We gotta take care of her and whatever. I'm like, where has she been? Like 28 years of my life, where has she been? This girl has not
uh,
been around. Why is she here
uh-huh.
now? And why is she trying to replace us? So anyway, my dad starts getting closer and closer and closer to this girl. And over the years, like my dad would disappear for like long periods of time during the day, and my
Ah,
mom's trying to get a hold of him, can't find him, doesn't know where he's at, he's not answering his phone. And so that continues to snowball, and we find out that he's spending time with her. There's money that's gone missing from their savings account or whatever. Oh, well, she needed help paying bills, even though both her parents died, so she got their full estate, the whole 9 yards. Everything's paid for. So money's missing. My dad's time is missing. Like it's just not adding up. Then my mom
mm,
finds a spare cell phone because my mom's like, you got to stop like contacting her all the time. It's starting to cause problems between us. Don't do this anymore. And so this girl is like emailing my mom, I don't know why you don't like me. I don't know why you don't want me around
mm.
because Gordon, that's my dad's name, Gordon really likes me. And Gordon says I'm his daughter. And so the extra cell phone, the money missing, the time that my dad's missing, all of this stuff. And so this goes on for years and years. And finally, it gets to a breaking point for my mom. And she's like,
Ah,
if you don't stop with this girl, then you're going to have to move out. We're going to have to separate or divorce or whatever. I don't want you part of my life anymore. I can't handle this, because it was crazy. It was all hours of the day and night. He'd get like 875
what?
texts from this girl during the day, but he wouldn't respond to one from my mother. And
Yeah,
so
okay. Uh-uh.
it started to be an issue, right? And so I moved down to another state, and I was like, thank God I'm away from that mess. My parents separated, so they live in very different houses. And about the time, like I said on the last episode, that my mom, was going through cancer, my daughter was going through all the medical stuff, my dad was going through medical stuff. And so, even though him and I had a very contentious relationship because
Mm,
of his relationship, not just with me, but also with this girl and the replacement aspect of it, and I'm still taking care of him or whatever. And so, a year later, and this is recent because this was over the summer last year or fall last year when I was told you like shit hit the fan. So my dad sends me a message and he says, I've got to have another surgery on my eyes. I'm not going to be able to see for a while, like at all. I can't drive. I can't cook. I got to keep my head straight. I got to put these meds in, but I can't see. Can you come up here, meet me for the surgery, and take care of me? Of course, you're relying on me, right? And we're
why not
not,
his why not his little
Right.
his daughter, right? His other little daughter that he
We're
was.
not that close. But me being the person that I am, I'm like, I will give him another shot. I will help. And so he was having this surgery at a place that was 2 hours away from their house.
Huh.
So, mind you, I have to drive like a lot further than they do to get up there to go to this place. So, like 8 hour drive.
Hmm.
I get there. And of course, the hotel and everything for the night before was in his name. And we had arranged like when I was supposed to arrive because everything's in his name. So I can't check in because he's got to be there. I get
Hmm.
there and I'm like, where are you at? Oh, we haven't left yet. I'm like, we? Well, yeah, Lori's coming with me. Okay. Where's she going to stay at? Well, she's going to stay in the room with me.
I'm starting to paint the picture.
Okay. And see, let me back up for just a second. Like before the surgery, like Lori starts contacting me before I had her number blocked. But my dad's like, we're going to have to coordinate care. And I'm like, okay, I'll swallow it for not liking this girl and whatever, so we can coordinate things. So I'm like trying to go over his med list. And I'm like, so tell me what he takes, what time of day he takes it, all these things. She gets down to the bottom of the list and she plays dumb. Okay. She's not really mentally retarded. She was playing that part. She goes, um, well, I don't know what it's used for, but it's Cialis. And I was like, Cialis? My dad's in his upper 80s. I'm like, Cialis, that's for libido, male libido. That's for erections.
That's for your rocket
Oh,
ship.
oh, oh, well, I knew. I just didn't want to say anything. And I had always been asked before from multiple people outside the family, do you think he's messing with her? And I'm like, no, there's no way. So this made me start like, huh? Questioning. And see,
Janet.
all the time growing up, and this is I gotta back up again. Sorry, I'm like scatterbrained. But
Hmm.
growing up, supposedly she was mentally retarded, and then after that, it was, oh, you're a nurse. I'm a nurse too. I went to nursing school. I have a nursing license. I got the highest score there ever was on the state board exam. Um,
Mm,
these specialty doctors are requesting for me to come and work for them and blah, blah,
mm.
blah. So it was whatever Janet did, this girl did also and better. I'll shed some light on that here later on in the story
Hmm.
and how things like broke wide open. So anyway, I up there waiting on my dad and her to get there for the surgery. And he calls me and says, I already called and told him that it was okay for you to check in. So just go up to the front desk and check in. And
Mm.
so I park and I go inside and I'm like, here to check in. And she's like, oh, your sister already called. I'm like, well, that's weird because my sister's been dead for over 30 years. And she goes, well, your sister Lori. And I'm like, I don't have a sister, Lori. Well, somebody called and said they were your sister, and so they made arrangements for you to check in. So already I've got horns growing out of my head
At
while
this
I'm
point,
standing
you're.
at the desk, right? So they get there and, everything, check in and all that stuff. My daughter comes down and meets us after work. So her and I are staying in a room. My dad and the other person are staying in
Oh
another
my
room.
God.
And so she's large, very, very large. And so, like, my dad being very old, very frail, he doesn't get around well. And I'm like, well, let me go downstairs and I'll get food. I'll bring it up, whatever. Well, can you get me something too? Because it's really far to walk.
Oh, bitch. You get up and go.
Okay. So we go. spend the night and everything. The next morning is the surgery. So my daughter and I, which our family, are sitting in the waiting room with them. And the nurse comes out and she says his name and she says, "You can bring one family member back." And he goes, "I want my daughter Lori to come back." Okay, over me, who drove 8 hours to be here, over my daughter, who drove 3 hours to be here, he picked Lori. So I was sitting in the waiting room and I was fuming. I was so mad. And so he's like telling the nurses back there, I guess, well, I guess my family's out there and they're upset that I brought in my other daughter because they don't get along. And go tell them that they can trade off and come back here. So the nurse comes out and she's like, your dad says that you guys can trade off. Which one of you wants to come in? And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm like, nope. He made his bed. He can lay in it. Nope, don't care. And I
Wait.
know that sounds crass, but it gets way worse. So after the surgery, we go back to the hotel. He has to lay flat. He can't like feed himself, nothing like that, because he can't look down. So somebody has to stay with him at all times to help him get up to go to the bathroom, help to feed him, help get him something to drink, adjust the covers, whatever he needs. And so we're like taking turns, we're running errands, getting drinks, getting food, feeding him, all of this stuff. And so Lori keeps playing like she's disabled and she can't get things herself and stuff until she thinks that we're like not around, like we're running an errand, like getting pain meds or something. And I find her downstairs at the buffet. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. She can't walk, but here she is downstairs. So she's downstairs that night eating dinner. And I was in my dad's room and he said, "I could tell you were visibly upset today. Do you want to talk about it?" And I'm like, "I don't really want to get into it here. You just had surgery, whatever." And he's like, "I don't know why you can't love your sister." And I'm like, "I did love my sister, but my sister passed away a very long time ago." And he goes, "Lori is your sister." And I'm like, "Lori is not my sister. And you need to stop playing pretend." I'm like, "You called me to come up here and help you."
Hmm.
And I'm like, "You put me and your own granddaughter on the back burner and chose her over us. We are your family." And he's like, "Well, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. It won't happen again." 20
Okay.
24 hours, we have to go back for a follow-up at the surgeon's
Uh-huh.
office. He's got to check pressure in the eyes and stuff like that. So we go the next morning and we're sitting in the waiting room and they call his name. And so the nurse is standing at the door. She's holding the door open and she says, "You can bring two family members back." And he says, "Well, I have three. Both of my daughters are here and my granddaughter." And I'm
Okay.
like, and so I stood up, my daughter stood up, we went up to the door, and he said, "No, I want all three of my family members in there."
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
said, "She is not your daughter. She is your friend, and we are family. And so we are going back because my daughter and I are going to be providing your care. We need to hear the doctor's instructions." Makes sense, right? Common sense.
Hmm.
If I'm going to be
Obviously.
staying with you, obviously I need to be the one in there to know what's going on. And he threw the biggest shit fit out in the waiting room. So they had to make room for my daughter and I to go in the room with them. My dad was fuming because they wouldn't let Lori come in. And he's yelling at the nursing staff that they've got to go out and get her or whatever. Well, Lori was so butthurt that my daughter and I went in that she left. She drove my dad there. She left in his car, took his wallet, and wrote a shitty note on a napkin telling them that she was gone, she left, and if he needed something, he would have to call. Hello, I can't see my phone to call you, but that he, if he needed something, he would have to get a hold of her because she wasn't going to be treated like that.
Wait, hold the front door. Fuck it. Wait, he did it to you first. You and your daughter stayed there, waited.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know what family is.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they did it to her, she decides to freaking leave.
Yes. So he's throwing a fit, right? And then they take us out of the exam room, put us in a waiting room because they'd had to do initial measurements or something. And then he had to wait for the doctor. So
Mhm.
we're sitting in the inside waiting room and get the note that she left and whatever. My dad went absolutely ballistic. MFer was coming out of his mouth and how much he hates me and hates my daughter. And he's not going to be seen by the doctor unless his other daughter, Lori, comes back and you need to get on the phone and you need to call her because she's the one that I want to be here. And yelled at like 12 different nurses, yelled at like medical students that were walking by. He was so loud. And then he gets up in my face and my daughter's face and he goes, "She is my effing daughter because I adopted her," and walked out. And I was like, what just happened? He adopted her? I'm like, how could he adopt her? My mom and him are still married. My mom would have to sign off on that.
Mhm.
I know my mom wouldn't sign off on it because my mom can't stand her.
Mhm.
And so he storms out, like completely out of the clinic. And my daughter and I are still sitting there and they're like, "Is he coming back?" And I'm like, I have no idea. We waited for him for about 45 minutes. He finally
He came with
shows,
her.
he finally shows back up, had no idea what went on. He must have had somebody dial her phone number or something. But he comes back and he's like, "I don't ever want to hear another word about her, like ever, to me." And I'm like, well, I'm in tears. I'm crying. I'm like, I can't do this. I went outside to my truck and I'm sitting in my truck. I'm bawling. I'm calling my husband. I called Ellie. I'm like
Oh
calling
my
everybody I
God.
know. I'm like, please talk to me because I'm about ready to lose my shit,
Mhm.
and it was like, do me a favor and come up here and help, but I'm not going to acknowledge that you're even my child. I'm not going to acknowledge that you're my blood relative, the whole 9 yards. So we're at the hotel after that whole debacle, and I'm like, I can't even drive. I'm so upset. I'm like,
Mhm.
you're going to have to drive my truck because I can't
Mhm.
drive.
Mhm.
Get back to the hotel, and I'm still trying, right? Still trying to be nice. I walk into their room one time
You are
to to
too freaking
take
polite,
to
bro. I
take
would have.
him something. She is on the bed next to him, like stroking him all over the place, like she wants to jump on him. And I was like, this here is not okay. You are still married, even if you're separated, you are still married. And I don't, I can't, I don't want to see this. And he tells me that if I can't get along with my sister, Lori, that he doesn't want to have anything to do with me ever again.
Damn, that's
So I told my daughter, I'm like, I am packing my shit. I am going to drive back home. I have not spoken to him since. My daughter's actually the one that told him that I was leaving. And of course, Lori went spastic or whatever before we left. I forgot to throw this in there. So, you know how I said she supposedly went to nursing school and all these things? Well, she had just entered school again right before this surgery. And so she had all her homework and everything sitting on the desk. And so when she wasn't in the room, I told my daughter, I'm like, go over and take a look at this. She never even went to high school. She is going for what's it called?
For a
The
trade?
Goodwill has the Excel Center, which is adult high school for or high school for adults. Never went to nursing school, never had a nursing license, never scored the highest on the state board, was never tried to be drowned by her dad, like found out all of these things that my dad and her had lied to us about for so long were not true. And it was literally to garner sympathy and use it as a manipulation tactic. So he tried to send me something on a message on New Year's. I didn't respond. I was actually in Indiana with my daughter at that time and I didn't respond. I'm sitting on her couch and I was like, I don't, I'm not answering because I don't want him coming over here, like at all. I don't want to, I have nothing left to say. That was the most disrespectful thing ever, right? And it was like I was still trying to do my part and take care of him and trying to put the past aside where we've always had issues and I wasn't good enough and all of these things and that just reinforced for me that relationship is toxic and it's a no-go for me. And so even if he apologized to me again, would it make any difference? And a lot of people are like, well, you preach about forgiveness and stuff. Yes, I have forgiven him, even though it has been uber hard. Like the hardest person in my life ever to forgive would be him. But will I ever forget what he did to me all these years on this earth? No. And I'm literally the one that they call anytime there's a problem. And then they turn around and treat me like garbage. Because I bought like hundreds of dollars worth of medical supplies and, raised toilet seats and walkers and, bandaging and the whole 9 yards to take it up there. I was planning on staying for months until he was cleared to drive and all of that stuff. I was going to stay for months. I never even made it past that city that his surgery was in. Nope.
What a mouthful. I have to inject here. That's fucking tough, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny, first of all, props to you, dude. Because that was my anxiety levels were starting from the hospital, my anxiety levels were already going off.
Mm-hmm.
I have to don't get offended. You're telling me your life story. Expect me to give you an opinion. This is just a little opinion. He's fucking corking her, bro.
Mm-hmm. Well, see,
100%.
that's what I think too, and especially when I walked into the room and she's literally on the bed next to him and stroking him in a manner that was like highly sexual and stuff. And we were supposed to take turns like staying in his room and whatever. And she's like, "Oh no, like I want to be with him," like blah blah blah. And my eyeballs finally went boop. I get it now. And I'm like, even though I was in the fetish community and stuff, this fantasy game that they're playing where that's his daughter and you're porking her and she's my age and you're in your 80s is
And
just
you keep saying that's your sister?
yeah, the more that you call her your daughter and the more like hypersexual this situation gets, and the taking the Cialis And well, I have to go over to her house and take a shower, and sometimes I'll spend the night there because my bathroom's not working or whatever. And like all of these things started ringing alarm bells after this incident. And I'm like, how? I'm naive, I guess, because I really wanted to believe that it was an innocent thing. But the more like the further this went on, I'm like, that is disgusting on so many levels that you have this like fantasy. And so it made me think about like, did he have those kind of fantasies toward my real sister
Oh,
when
damn, this
she was
shit got
when
deep.
she was alive? Because like I said, she was on a pedestal all the time, and it's almost like he praised and worshiped her, and he talked about her like in this glowing manner. Do
Uh-oh.
I know anything happened? No, but that thought crossed my mind, and I'm like, because that behavior does not come out of nowhere, and you just
That's
don't
premeditated.
suddenly,
Yep.
you
Uh,
don't suddenly start living this fantasy thing. And I'm like, is there something more
that's
to this? So, with all of this being said, and like I said, the forgiveness aspect of this has been brutal for me, to be honest, because, you can say, oh, I forgive you, but if you don't feel it in your heart,
hmm.
it's empty words, and, and like I said, even if he called and apologized again, would I believe it? No, because
Hmm.
it has happened so many times now that it's like I have to remove myself from that situation to protect me, and to protect my mental health and my, well-being. And when all this was going on and I was calling my husband, I'm like, you know what? I just want to come home where I feel safe. I'm like, this makes me, when people talk about feeling unsafe a lot, that made me feel very unsafe. And I'm like, I don't like it here. I'm like, it's calm at home. It's peaceful. There's no drama. I don't have to deal with like any of this emotional stuff because it's very balanced and harmonious state at home. And I'm like, every time I am around my family, it causes, and I don't have anxiety like ever until I have to be around my family. My mom and dad are the biggest contributors to like me feeling mentally unwell or physically sick every time I have to be around them.
I remember
So,
this. I remember this event. I remember because you told me you were in Indiana.
mhm,
We were chit-chatting. I think we had already started this episode, the series, when you went to
mhm.
Indiana. Indiana. This is recent.
And
Not,
I was like, wait until we get to that episode.
and then gradually it gets worse. Every single time you would mention their names, it gets worse. Every single time I would ask you, how's your father? And you're like, I don't know. But you
Hmm.
wouldn't tell me. You were saving it
Hmm.
for this day.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I've had a couple friends that were like, it is his vision restored. Like, how are things doing? And I'm like, I don't know. The only way I would know would be to contact her, and that's not going to happen. Like, at all. Not ever again in this lifetime.
She's after something he has, and it's not
Well,
his rocket
and
ship.
and the funny thing is, like, there's a lot of stuff that over the years my daughter and I have tried to keep from my mom so that she does not get hurt further than what he's already hurt her regarding this Lori person. I'm crying. I can't talk. My daughter spills the beans to my mom because my mom was texting, seeing how things were going.
Ugh.
She spills the beans. And so when we left, when her and I both left, because she had to go to work the next day, I actually went with, uh, followed her home and stayed at her house for a couple of days. But I went and had a discussion with my mom, and I'm like, this relationship is super weird. And I'm like, whatever. And she's like, your dad like has rearranged like all of the will and stuff. Your brother, my brother won't talk to him anymore because of everything that he did to my mom. And
Mm.
she's like, I will guarantee you that he put her as his beneficiary. And she says, he better hope that he dies before I do, because I will like sue his butt into oblivion. Like everything should be going to my mom. And I'm like, the thing with me is I don't even care about that stuff other than I don't want her to get anything. I don't care if my daughter and my brother get it. I don't care at all. I'm great with that. I'm like, I just, after all the years of continual lying and sneakiness and snakiness and deceit and just all the evil that was going on, I literally do not want to have her part of that. I just don't. Maybe that's bad, but I don't know.
Um, there's two things that you need to observe. I am only 34 years old. I'm going through my own recovery and I'm going through my own freaking issues with my parents. By all means, I do not have any wisdom that I can offer you or anybody else when it comes to parents and the type of situation you were enduring. But I am gonna say this. There's two places you need to observe. First, he's your dad, and unfortunately, it's almost biblical. I think it's biblical. Let's just say it's biblical. It is. You need to honor your parents.
Mm-hmm.
From even if he's from far away. You don't need to live with him. You don't need to freaking love them. You don't need to,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is you need to forgive that other person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do shit. You should. My suggestion would be find a way to have peace.
Right. And
That's it.
that's the thing. And like I said, that was the hardest part for me, was to remove myself from this situation
Mm,
and sit back and be like, you know what? Like Jesus endured way worse than I could ever endure in my lifetime, and he forgave all of us, regardless of what it was. And I'm like, so
mm,
it took me quite a while and a lot of mental work to be able to get to the point where I have that forgiveness for them.
yeah.
But as far as like some people still expect me to like keep him close in my life,
It's impossible.
that is a no-go for me. And it's not, people are like, oh, these days, like it's too easy for people to give up and remove people that they say are toxic. It's been 55 years. I'm pretty sure I'm past the point where I can return things with a receipt if I need to. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
hey, out of all of this, I am so glad I am who I am. I'm not a serial killer. I didn't think about violence once.
Except for the concrete
Like,
shoes for that one dude.
well, yeah, but he kind of,
He deserved it.
yeah, because he hurt a child. So, and well, hurt several children. But through all of these things, I'm so glad that God has always put me through all of these different stressors and tests and stuff in my life. Because if I would have gone through this as the younger me, the outcome would have been very different, because I probably would have been in prison. And so,
everything, everything was timed.
Yes,
In God's light.
perfectly, because I'm a very different person than I was when I was in my 20s or my 30s, and so I have been given the beautiful gift of like grace and mercy, and all of those things, and gone through these things to like harden me and change me into the warrior that God wanted me to be. And so even though this stuff is like awful to go through emotionally at the time, it's also a blessing. So I guess my message for people out there who are listening, um, if you are going through anything similar, you are not the only person, and don't be afraid to feel your emotions, like go through those things, because you're going to come out the other side a way stronger person.
Amen to that.
Hmm.
Wow. You have given me, let me give you some emphasis now, okay, Janet? And I want you to accept the love. Janet, you have an extraordinary life. You've had extraordinary events, experiences, and I'm sure that there's other experiences that you're not allowed to talk about and you haven't mentioned for X reason.
Hmm.
But the highlights of your life can be put together in a very impactful and influential manner, even a book. And I'm 1000% that you have the same way that you've resonated with me, you are resonating with other people. There's more people that are going through situations like yours and mine, and even worse, and
Hmm.
that need an outlet and need to be a part of a club, and not a
Hmm.
part of not a club of victims, but a club of survivors.
A
And
club
you
of
offer
people, a club of people who are not afraid to speak their testimony.
boom,
Hmm.
and you offer that, you enable that, and you bring that to the table.
Hmm.
Um, I've I could only I want to thank you for sharing every single passionate moment of your life, your intimate situations with your paramour, um, your mom, your sister's death, your daughter's horrible upbringing with her horrible father, the pains, the gains, your amazing husband, your amazing daughter again now that she's an adult, his kid, and your personal life. And I am humbled and I'm pleasured and honored that you came on the show. And this last episode is not gonna be deplorable origins. This is gonna be deplorable Janet. The end. And it doesn't, because it doesn't end. Deplorable origins, because you didn't touch when you started the show or anything. You didn't make it about the podcast show because you don't want people to focus on what you're doing today. The
Hmm.
genuine part about that people could take away is that you didn't promote the show at all.
Hmm.
You didn't promote your yeah, you promote you didn't you promoted that you were a nurse, but not like, oh, I'm a podcaster when I started podcasting, when I worked here, when I worked there. You didn't do none of that. You brought forth the genuine, real life, real average Joe dude that has his freaking ceilings breaking because he left his house to his niece that was a tweaker and broke every freaking wall. You have those same things. You see what I mean? That trailer trash, and then you have the freaking rich aspect, and then you have the Freemason aspect. It has a very beautiful combination and it flows very well. And I think God has chosen you to do many special things. God has gifted you. God is beautiful, and he's shown his beautiful and kindness and grace, like you said, with you. And you're an amazing person. I would be mentally challenged or pretend to be mentally challenged, no pun intended. I would be mentally challenged to say otherwise. You're an amazing person. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me these 8 amazing episodes of your documentary.
Well, I appreciate you so much, and for your listeners, like I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen to this. I know today they seemed a little scattered, but I think there was probably emotions that were jumping up during the show today that were kind of leading me wherever I was going. Um, and so I want to thank you, and I want to thank your listeners as well. it's a beautiful thing to support each other, and stand behind the people that we respect the most, right? And our job is to raise people up, make people better, and spread whatever love and kindness that we can spread to other people. And you do that for so many people. And I just cannot thank you enough for being an amazing host and an amazing friend. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. Always will.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, one of the biggest reasons why I got out of freaking when I'm trying to fight, and this is like personal shit. You know why I'm really trying to fight, not digging my nose into a bag of meth again? It's because of what you told me about your ex. Because I don't want to be the father that ends up fucking thinking some stupid shit, let a demon into my brain, and enable an accident to happen with my two beautiful daughters, or my
Mm-hmm.
wife, or the neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
And I connect. I connect with every single portion of your life.
I
So it
appreciate
was
that.
my freaking pleasure, man. It was my freaking pleasure. I believe it or not, it's I'm not here alone. So if anybody wants to get in touch with the Deplorable Janet from the Deplorable Nation podcast, if they want to listen about two real life stories, if you want to listen to some health stuff, because we also did health stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
think after the break, because we're gonna have a little mini break, I'm gonna do some more stuff. I'm gonna bring you back on the show, and we're gonna talk some health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But where can people find you?
And any listeners that will have gone through something or are going through something, feel called to give their testimony, to give their health journey, anything like that, please, please, please hit me up. Deplorable Nation podcast on every podcast platform, plus on Rumble. If you send me a message on Instagram or Twitter, I will definitely 100% get back with you. Instagram is Deplorable Janet and Twitter is No Janet, KNOW. So please feel free to reach out.
And you also dropped an episode with I think it was Cosmic Peach, Heidi from the Unfiltered Rise podcast, and Tamara from Level Plain Poem. And what you did in this amazing roundtable was everybody, and the reason I'm bringing this up because it's huge, it's great. I'm kind of pissed off I didn't think of that. Everybody brings in their own Bible verse and you guys discuss it because
Mhm.
it's sharpening iron, and is all revolving around the one audience that really matters, God. So
Mhm.
that's huge, bro. It's
I
freaking
want to
huge.
do I want to do that with the men too. I want to have a men's roundtable with the same, because I want to see like how different the verses are that the men pick from the
Yeah,
women. But
yeah.
ooh, men are hard to schedule, baby.
Freaking kids. All right.
We're
Thank you
still
so
working on
much.
it.
We're still working on it. Janet from the Global Nation. Everybody, do not forget that the most important thing that you could do for the show today is drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people like you to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace out. Whoa. Yo.